I absolutely believe in ghosts. Why? Because one of my best friends is a ghost. There is a lake close to where I grew up. I know it very well. As children, we would regularly play there. It is beautiful, surrounded by oak trees, ferns, and one lazy weeping willow. It was my sanctuary. It looked stunning, whatever the season. It provided coolness in the heat of summer, some warmth in winter as the sun glinted on the light ice, hope in the spring, and reassurance in autumn with the changing leaves. There is a narrow gravel path that winds around the edge. It is at least a mile in circumference. It wasn't until I grew older that I realised I only ever saw one of my childhood friends by the lake. And that's because she was a ghost. Always the same, a creamy off-white dress and long brown hair which flowed behind her. No one else could see her. I used to be puzzled because I would be talking to her and then my friends would look confused, asking, "Who are you talking to?" And I would say, "Alyssa, she's right here." But they would go silent. They couldn't see her. I learned to speak with Alyssa when no one else was around. I realised I was the one she had chosen. Sometimes weeks would pass and I wouldn't see her. But if I were feeling a particular emotion acutely, she would appear. Whether that was grief or happiness, somehow she knew. Then one day, when I was in my early 30s, I went to the lake. I wanted to let her know about a new job. But she wasn't there. I was disappointed. I thought for sure she'd sense my elation. I decided to come back the next morning. But again, no show. A month went by, and I was concerned. Was this it? Had she moved on to another plane of existence? Then 2 weeks after that, she came back. But she looked different. She was more ghostly, if that were possible, as though she were partially erased. Her voice seemed further away. I knew she lived in the in-between. It exists between our worlds. And the things which dwelt there were not always harmonious. Not everything was good. She looked scared and in pain, struggling to keep her form. And I'd never seen her scared before. She was in danger. An entity or a creature which liked to absorb power was targeting her. She'd managed to hide, but it was becoming harder to evade. She needed to escape to the next dimension, and she needed my help. I was willing to do anything for my friend, my truest friend, who had always been there for me. A ritual existed, which could offer her sustenance and protection as she moved between realms. It was an old ritual, almost a summoning. We needed soil from the graveyard where she was buried, fire, a candle we thought would work, something from me, a strand of my hair, and to perform the task by the lake at dusk. The in-between, where Alyssa lived, seemed to be sustained by unfinished things, but not everything in it is gentle. The ritual, Alyssa explained, would temporarily tether me to the in-between. It should strengthen Alyssa, and we hoped give her the ability to remain and evade the darkness. Walking through the older gravestones, I found Alyssa's grave with ease. It said, "Alyssa Fairchild, beloved daughter of Elizabeth and Sebastian, sister to Margaret, born 1827, died 1847. Always remembered, forever cherished." She was so young. I hadn't realised she'd lived such a long time ago. I just knew her as Alyssa from the lake. I crouched down and took a small sample of the cold earth from near her grave. It felt as though someone was watching me, although I couldn't see anyone. But then again, graveyards do that. The process of making a candle wasn't new to me. I enjoyed it, although normally I was used to using essential oils or fragrance oils. I added a drop of lavender and rosemary for calmness and remembrance. I added the soil and my hair, and to my surprise, the coconut wax absorbed all the ingredients with ease. The smell was unusual, but not unpleasant. I felt a fluttering of unease begin in my stomach, Tomorrow, once the candle had settled, we'd be able to perform the ritual. The next evening, as the sun was dipping lower, I saw Alyssa standing near an oak. I could see it was costing her to be there. She was in pain, but determined to go on. There was little if no wind, and the branches were eerily still. I lit the candle, and together we murmured the incantation she taught me. The flame was strong and true, and then began to bend unnaturally, first to Alyssa and then to me. The water on the lake ceased to move. I looked up to see that Alyssa had become clearer, warmer, more solid. The look of pain had vanished from her face. She looked relieved, but there was something mixed in with her expression, an understanding. She reached out and laid a hand on my shoulder. I could feel her, and I gasped in surprise. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for this gift." She looked in wonder at her hands and the scene around her, drinking it in as though she hadn't seen it for a very long time. "I don't feel bound anymore to the in-between. I feel stronger." What does that mean?" I asked, confused. But then a look of fear passed over her face. Oh no, Gemma, I've made a mistake." Deeper in the woods, I could see a darkness that looked thick and heavy. It was moving very slowly, edging towards the lake, towards us. She turned, looking warily at the black shape. "You can see it too?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. "What is it?" She tucked her hair behind her ears and moved closer, holding my hands together. "Listen," she said urgently. "I don't have much time now. I can get to my next destination, and I thank you for that. You have been the truest friend, and I'm so sorry. I thought I was tethering myself just to you, but he came with me. He can't hurt you. You are forever linked to me, wherever I am. But he can cause disruption. This is what you must do to contain him." She whispered some instructions to me, keeping her voice low but clear. 3 rules that I needed to keep. I nodded. I understood, but something shifted inside me forever. I would always need to keep these rules. A bright light appeared at the other side of the trees. She smiled. "I have to go now. I will be able to visit, but not as often. But I will be watching." She held my hands for one last moment, and then ran into her light. It vanished, and as it did, the darkness retreated, a low rumble shaking the trees near it. And then everything was still. Months have passed since I last saw Alyssa, and I keep the rules she left me. I won't relate to you all the rules, at least not right now. But the main one is to never let the lake fully ice over in the winter. The ice must never touch all the sides, even a thin layer. So in the winter, when I know the temperatures might dip, I camp out quietly in the woods and break the ice with a hammer when I see it form. I still love the lake, but my relationship with it is different. I am its protector. There isn't the same sanctuary as before, but there is a closeness. It knows and recognizes me. It appreciates my presence. The darkness is aware of me too. It mocks me and toys with the boundaries I have in place. It knows it's just me and him. Sometimes it gets close to the lake and the water turns an inky black, and then it retreats. But will it always retreat? And sometimes I wonder, did I help Alyssa escape? Or did I just give him a doorway to our world? Thank you for listening, and join us next week for another story.